All right, we got our spraying done. Got the sprayer parked and rinsed off, all the nitrogen off of it. Now out of that green machine, and let's get into this green machine and give it a little update.
All right, Andy got done spraying the wheat this morning. We got the drill finished up and parked, thankfully. Now we're left with the aftermath of the drill overhaul. So that's what Andy's working on, is getting all the tools put up, getting all the parts and everything cleaned up, and making this a workable situation again. And then Carter just got out of school. He's about to pull my 1500 in here. It's due for an oil change, so he's going to work on that. In the meantime, I'm going to get back on this project that we started back on, I think it was January 5th, if I'm not mistaken. Our loader tractor. I have not gotten the fuel pump back from it. I'm about to get pretty anxious because I'm tired of this tractor taking up this much of our shop. So hopefully it's ready now. The guy said it's supposed to be ready early this week. Well, it's now Tuesday. So here in a little bit, I'm going to call him about that, but just give him a few more minutes to call me. I'm going to be working on this loader because we got to do some attention to it. We bought this loader back in 2002, I believe. So we've had it 24 years. It's done a whole lot of work. We bought it back when we got in the commercial hay operation, using it to load square bales and round bales. And then, you know, since we got into the litter spreading business, it's seen a lot of use the last few years, loading a whole lot of litter, and we're starting to see some wear on the mounts. Right here is where it mounts in the quick attach bracket on the loader, and it's got these this key stock right here that you know, kind of locks it in place, and that's what kind of, you know, prevents it from going up and down whenever you activate the cylinders. And you see on that top edge, it's nice and square right there, like it should be. And look over here on the other side, you see how it's concave. It is really wore down, and on the underside, on this side, it's done the same thing, whereas it needs that nice square edge to really lock it in place. And what we're seeing now is this thing doing a whole lot of that now whenever we're activating the cylinders, and that's just going to further exacerbate the wear on this. So I need to cut these blocks off and put new ones on here. We got two on this side right here, and then also on the quick attach bracket on the loader. You can see right there, I mean, we've got a lot of wear on those, so we need to replace those. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do this afternoon, is cut off the welds on these, see if I can find some new key stock the same size, and then we will weld them back on there. So first, before I cut them off, to mark the exact positions, I'm going to mark around the edge. You can see it's not welded on the top side, it's just welded on the sides, and I want to mark them so we can put them back in the exact same position. And then you kind of see our mounting holes that the pin go through. They kind of got an egg shaped, and that's from all that beating and banging from having slack in these blocks. So we'll probably try, you know, grind that lip off and probably weld that back up. That way don't have so much room to beat and bang around and egg this thing out again. All right, Mia, you ready to go home? Hey, Carter distracting us. You ready to go home, Mimi? We gotta go feed cows first. All right, well, that's gonna do it for today. We got all the pieces cut off. I was able to source some more strap steel. We also got the pieces cut off on the loader and whatnots. And the guy rebuilding the injector pump did call me. I do think we will be able to pick up our injector pump at some point tomorrow. He had a problem with the injectors, had to order some more tips for them, so they're not going to be ready. But at least I think we can go pick up the injector pump and get that slapped back on, because that's going to be the by far the most labor-intensive part of that tractor right there.
All tractors should sound like that. All right, this thing's back in the shop. It's already been serviced, like oil filters and everything, but next on the agenda is to see all this stuff that's peeling off and this foam back here that's just turning into dust and all of that, and a couple cracks in the plastics. And just, it's just not all that anymore. I'm not sure what all is in the kit. It might be that plastic and not the headliner, but so we got a cab kit for it, and since we can't get our loader tractor out just yet and pull the planter in, this is the next thing on our priorities. I'm gonna start tearing apart the interior, and hopefully it'll look like a brand new tractor afterwards. And I'm gonna try to fix that air cap right there. Make it to where there's not a zip tie over it. So we opened our box, and it's not really any of the plastics. I thought it was. I don't know if any of these replaced the plastics, but it's all like behind the seats and just all the foam stuff, new foam and new fabric. So behind the seat means it's probably easier without the seat. So I went ahead and pulled that out. It's pretty easy. There's just 4 bolts, 2 in front, 2 in the back, and she comes right out. So you can see where it should be a little bit easier now. And now we're just gonna take everything else off, like the ashtray, our custom cup holder, this plastic piece, a couple little pieces, and then we should be able to start ripping everything out and scraping off all the excess glue. Starting to unbolt this thing. Sure would be nice if I had somewhere to sit down. And I'm gonna actually move this thing around. As nice as it is right here by your right hand, you can't open the back glass. So either scoot it up about an inch or switch sides. If y'all don't have one of these, I suggest getting them. They are super great. I don't really know where this one came from. It says Diesel Grain Systems. They're great to have. It's not a sponsor, but they're very nice to have. Alright, got all the plastics out, got all the fabric out. And as you can tell, it's definitely overdue for a little blowout or vacuum up, clean up. Try and get some of this old glue off. I don't know how that's all going to come off, but we can try our best. And if anybody else is going to do this project, this panel right here, this plastic panel, that is the hardest part. I thought the seat was going to be the hardest part. That panel right there is absolutely ridiculous.
How's it coming along?
It's coming along. I got.
What are you doing all that grinding for?
Just to get all that old glue off.
Are you talking about the silicone, or like the actual original glue from the original interior?
I guess both of it, really. I mean, it's all clumped up silicone, I reckon, and glue.
Anyway, I mentioned back last winter that one of the things we're going to do this 4440 is replace the interior. We had last done it in, 2015. It was like the year that I bought this tractor, whenever that was. And anyway, the foam had starting to degrade and everything. And time to freshen up the cab on this old gal. Andy went the extra step, took the seat out and everything, and he's trying to get you know, all that old glue from old interiors. And anyway, when it comes to this project, the best place to source your interior parts from is furcab.com. That's F-E-H-R cab.com. They sell cab kits for dang near every piece of equipment there is, and used to replacing the interiors on these tractors was an absolute pain in the butt, because you would have the kind of felt material with foam adhesive to the back of the felt, and then you would have to glue that foam to the, you know, metal structure of the cab and getting it straight and lined up, because that glue is super tacky. It was really hard. But last time we replaced this cab kit, Fur Cab had come out with a new style kit. You can still get the old style with just the foam and the felt and use the adhesive, but we decided to go with this new style kit. And basically what it is that you got your you know, your exterior felt, you got your foam, but then they had put a solid plastic backing on that, to where then you could use like a silicone or caulk. You can see all that old stuff right there, put it on the plastic, and then you know, kind of slide it in place. And because you know, the caulk wasn't tacky or anything, you could slide it around and place it absolutely perfectly. And then you know, getting it out and cleaning it up when it's time to replace it again is so much easier than it was with the old style with the adhesive. Now these types of kits are a little bit more expensive than your, you know, your traditional old style, but they are just so much easier to work with, and I highly recommend doing that. Now after I announced that we're going to redo the cab, I had people tell me, well, I need to, you know, update the color to like a newer style, the brown interior, but I'm a big fan of keeping things original, so we went back with black. So anyway, here's a new kit. I mean, these pieces are perfectly formed. Then there's that plastic backing, and then we'll just use some caulk right there and slide them into place, let the caulk cure, and we will have a almost brand new cab. So anyway, while Andy's working on that project, I'm gonna get back here on the loader. Went and got my steel right here. We're gonna make some new wedges. The old wedges were 1/2 inch thick, so and they varied in width. I think they varied in width from 1 inch to 1.5 inch. So we got a couple long sticks of 2 inch by 1/2 inch, and we're going to cut them down to size and weld them back into place.
That's pretty much it. All the pieces are in. Got a little mess right there with the caulk. That'll be under the seat, so not too worried about it. Not sure how long it all needs to dry, but all we have left is to put these little plastic end caps back on and put the seat back in and pull the tractor out of here and put our cup holder back on. But that's what it's gonna look like. All right, we're done backing her out. That's what it looks like. It looks basically pretty much the exact same, but just a whole lot cleaner and a whole lot snugger of a fit along those seams. No peeling foam, no nothing like that. It's a job well done. Everything fits just so perfectly. Ready to run this thing. pretty hard way to clean the cab, but it looks great.
All right, we finally got our injector pump back in, and Andy's going about the fun job of trying to get it mounted up. He's got it in the hole, but that's the easy part.
That bolt on the back.
Yeah, two of those nuts are going to be easy to get on, but then that third one, if y'all remember that contraption he had to build to be able to access it.
Let's see if I can do it twice.
Good luck, Andy. I'll just stick over here. I'll just stay over here in my corner and continue my welding.
Well, if you hear any conversations over here, just...
I'll assume you're talking with yourself and ignore it. All right, I got all the wedges rebuilt here on the loader frame. See, they got nice square edges now. That ought to take all the slop out of it. Now I'm gonna set on rebuilding the holes. Already got my 2500 in here, getting the oil changed on it. And I heard some exclamations, some good exclamations over here. So I'm assuming you got that difficult nut started.
Yeah, very good exclamations. It's started. It's almost tight back there too.
Good deal. That's the part I was worried about. If you got that, I'm not going to say the project's whooped, but so I don't know if I remember exactly where all them lines and wires go because it's been a month and a half. But I think we can get that part figured out.
I believe so. That's the hardest part, is putting that nut and paying for it.
All right, I believe I got my slots built back up pretty dang good. Don't have that egged out shape, and we got a pin through here, and I mean, virtually no up and down. I mean, I believe that'll work. All right, Andy, how you coming along here?
Been fidgeting out, got just about everything back in place, like the fuel lines and...
Oh, you've been working on fuel lines and stuff too?
The only thing I'm definitely not certain about are these two.
Well, we got a solenoid on the bottom. Because one of those wires is a fuel shut off, and the other one is to advance it whenever we got a cold start.
That's exactly where it goes. Oh, there's not a nut on there.
Well, then take the one off the top and take it with you morning, stop by HCI, and do not lose that nut. Well, we made some pretty good progress today. I don't think I ever told y'all exactly what was wrong with that fuel pump, but based upon what Sal's Diesel Repair told me, I have absolutely no idea how that thing was cranking and even running. I mean, he said it was... He didn't say it was just destroyed on the inside, but pretty close. But anyway, shine your light up there, Andy. But anyway, right up there on top, got some kind of aneroid that you get boost pressure from the turbo and it opens it up and then it sends more power. He said that was completely non-functional, which explains the low power under load, like going down the road and going up a hill, and I mean, it just falls flat on its face. He also said, I think he also told me earlier when I called on it earlier time, one of the pistons that was in there backwards from an earlier rebuild, and he just said it was in bad shape. It gave him fits, but he's pretty confident in it now. They advanced the timing, I think, 2 degrees on it. They turned it up 20% over max specs, so he said that ought to wake this tractor up pretty good. Also, he said the 4 injectors was shot on there too. They was in bad need of repairs, so I'm hoping, provided we put this thing all back together right, we get it timed right, because we didn't have the injector pump locked down like I thought we did when we took it off. So they set it on, top dead center on number 1, which, I mean, we do have the engine timed right. So as long as we got all that right, I mean, once we get everything bled, mounted up and bled, it should crank right up. And I'm hoping we've got a brand new tractor, because we've owned this thing since 2007, and even when it was brand spanking new, this thing was a dog from the factory, and that's one reason we've already had the injector pump rebuilt. But apparently whoever did it before, I don't know who did it, because the New Holland mechanic took it off and sent it off somewhere, but whoever rebuilt that thing before, we didn't notice any different improvement when we got it, when we got the injector pump back. But this thing has just been an absolute dog. It's rated at 80 PTO horsepower, and it ain't never had that. So I'm hoping we got us a brand new tractor.
That'd be nice. Chicken piles don't stand a chance.
Yeah, Andy said chicken piles don't stand a chance. Yeah, I mean, now that I got the loader rebuilt and hopefully we got more power, I don't know, we've been doing 200 tons in a day. Maybe we'll be able to do 300.
We can definitely push it now.
Anyway, we don't have our injectors back yet. They're supposed to be in the morning, so it's 5 o'clock. We're gonna call it a day, and we'll see what tomorrow brings on this. All right, here we are out here in the canola field this afternoon, taking a small break from repairing our tractor and just looking at the canola before I get into what we're doing out here. Just looking at the canola. I mean, considering what it went through just a couple weeks ago, I'm really surprised. I was expecting this stuff to look like it's almost dead. And I mean, we did have some severe foliage burn, whatever, you know, but that's completely natural. That happens. That is nothing to be concerned about. What we are concerned about, and I can't remember if I touched on this in a previous video right now, is disease in this canola. We're facing a disease in this canola that we typically don't have in any of our other crops. It's called white mold. White mold is a pretty severe problem, especially farther north. In soybeans, not something we see here, but we do have it here, and canola is very susceptible to it. And that's something we're gonna have to treat our canola for here real soon.
All right, I'm no expert, but I think I found an instance of it right here. You see this plant is pretty much dead. But you kind of see that white fuzzy stuff there on the stem. That's white mold.
And the prevalence of it out here is not extremely severe, but it is out here. And as we move into spring with plenty of moisture and warmer temperatures, I'm afraid that this could spread like wildfire. So of course, this is our first year growing canola. We don't know a whole lot about it, but I do know that that disease can cause a big problem. But how exactly do we treat it? When do we treat it? What's the best fungicide to use? What's the best rate to use? What's the best timing to use? All that stuff is stuff that we don't necessarily know. The best thing we can do is go off, you know, data from other areas of the country where canola has been grown for the years. But using that data and transferring it to different regions to make good decisions can be problematic. So what we're doing out here today is the University of Tennessee contacted me yesterday wanting to do some fungicide trials on canola, and they brought their own little plot sprayer out here. And I don't know how many different products that they're going to use. I do know that there's going to be a lot of replications out here. They're going to be using multiple products sprayed at multiple times just to try to determine, you know, what the best economic return is on applying a fungicide to control white mold in canola. So right now they're getting all the different plots and stuff laid off, and then they're going to use their little plot sprayer here to spray all the different treatments. And this is going to be some of the most critical data that we can get on our farm this year, just because there's so much that we don't know about this crop and how it reacts in this region yet. All right, like I said, these are going to be really small plots. They're actually going to be 4 rows wide, and going to have different plots going down through here. If you can see all those orange stakes, each stake is going to be its own individual replication. And I think today they're spraying 4 different products, plus they're going to have control out here of non-treated, and then they'll come back later on with either the same products, you know, at a different timing, or with additional products. And I mean, they're going to have tons of different products and replications out here in these small plots, and just trying to figure out what works best. But just to give you an idea of, you know, how small these plots are, you can see these lines of orange stakes right here, and those individual plots are going to come down here to this white line, and then we're going to have an alleyway right here to get to the orange line, and then more stakes, and then so on all the way down through there. And then later on, all of these are going to be plots too, when they come back with different timings. All right, apparently they're having the same first of year issues with their sprayer that everybody else has. But take a look at this little plot spraying machine right here. Pretty unique. Not a whole lot to it. And you see their curtains right there to prevent drift from going over onto other plots. And then actual solution, I believe they got stored in, I want to say these are pressurized tanks. They got, you know, the solutions mixed up with the different chemicals and everything. I know one thing, I'd sure hate to hit an armadillo hole at speed in this thing. All right, apparently that was going to be controlled. I don't think that thing likes our ripped ground too awful much. It's still a little rough out here. Of course, we haven't hardly had much rainfall this winter to kind of, break up the clods and level it back down. It's still pretty dang rough. I'm hoping at some point we get some rainfall to kind of rectify that. I don't need my field to be permanently rough. All right, figure out what they're going to do. You know, their booms are hooked up to the first chemical, so they're driving through the plots and spraying the replications with that one chemical, and then they'll swap to a different chemical, drive back through and just spray the replications with that chemical, and so on until they get all the spraying done that they need to get sprayed today. All right, we're gonna let them do their job. We're gonna get back to the shop and get back to working on our job. All right, we got everything back on except for the injectors. So now going to make sure fuel's coming out of the fuel lines anyway. Let's go ahead and hold it down. All right, we got fuel coming out of the lines. Now as long as everything is timed back up right, we get the injectors back, pop them in, and this baby ought to be ready to roar. Anyway, that's going to do it for today. Kind of being a slow day, just doing odds and ends. I got all of our loader stuff done. We got all the injector pump and everything put back up on the side of the engine. And so, like I said, the only thing left is putting the injectors on the other side, getting them bled, and getting the turbo completely mounted back up. And we'll be ready to find out if this baby will fire up again. Anyway, hope to see y'all tomorrow with a completed project.